Your bank account is a reflection of your philosophy, not your paycheck. You can hand two people the same amount of money, and in a year, one is broke and the other is building wealth. Why? Because one had a trained mind and the other had a trained excuse. Now, here's what I've discovered. After watching thousands of people succeed and far more fail, it's not talent that separates them. It's not background luck or intelligence. It's thinking. Thinking is the seed of all wealth. The way you interpret events, how you respond to failure, what you believe is possible, and what you allow to be normal, that's the soil your entire financial life grows from. So today I want to challenge you not just to work harder, but to think sharper. Not to just dream bigger, but to discipline your mind to make those dreams inevitable. Because here's what I've learned. The greatest investment you'll ever make is not in stocks, real estate, or business. It's in training your brain to earn, attract, and multiply money like the wealthy do. If your thoughts don't change, your results won't either. But once the mind shifts, the whole world begins to follow. Let's talk about how to make that shift, starting right now. When it comes to building wealth, the first shift happens not in your bank account, but in your mind. You must begin with a vision so strong, so detailed, that it wakes you up in the morning and keeps you moving when motivation wears thin. Most people never build real wealth because they never define what it looks like for them. They say they want to be rich, but they never write it down. They say they want freedom, but they never put a number or a timeline to it. You cannot hit a target you cannot see, and the rich, they're not guessing. They're planning with precision. I remember when I was young and broke, I sat down one day and decided I wouldn't just work for money, I'd design a future. I wrote out exactly what I wanted, how much I'd earn in 5 years, what my net worth would be, how many sources of passive income I'd build, and even what kind of investments I'd own. I attached those numbers to something deeper: freedom, impact, a better life for my family. That's when I stopped drifting. When the why is strong, the how becomes clearer. That written vision became my compass, my reason for discipline. And I didn't just write it once, I looked at it every day. Because repetition is the mother of skill, and vision must be renewed daily if it's going to drive action. So if you haven't done this yet, it's time. Take out a pen, think big. Where do you want to be financially in 5 years? Make it real. Put a number on it, tie it to your purpose. The brain works best with clear direction, and wealth follows those who live on purpose, not by accident. Most people think of a budget as a prison set of limits that tells them what they can't do. But let me tell you, the wealthy think of a budget as a blueprint. A budget isn't there to restrict you, it's there to release you. It's not about survival, it's about building. It's not just making sure the bills get paid, it's about making sure the future gets built. See, most folks earn their paycheck, pay their bills, and whatever's left, if anything, they spend or save by accident. That's not a strategy, that's financial autopilot. And autopilot doesn't get you to wealth. It just gets you through the month. When I was broke and starting out, I learned to flip that thinking. I didn't budget just to survive, I budgeted to grow. I split every dollar with intention. 70% for living essentials, not luxuries. 20% went straight into investments, places where money could go to work while I slept. And the last 10%, that was for leisure, but for growth. Books, courses, mentor stools that made me more valuable in the marketplace. That 10% helped me earn more than any gadget ever could. And the key is, I treated each percentage like a law. Not suggestions, not if there's extra. They were sacred. Because if you don't send your money where it must go, it will find a way to disappear. Every dollar must be assigned a job. That's how you move from paycheck pressure to financial progress. So if you're tired of just getting by, stop budgeting for the bills and start budgeting for your future. Because the right plan doesn't just keep you afloat, it builds you a ship that can take you anywhere. One of the biggest dangers in financial life isn't a market crash or a bad economy. It's a bad decision made at the wrong emotional moment. You see, when emotions rise, wisdom tends to lower. And I've seen more people go broke not because they didn't earn enough, but because they let a feeling decide their future. Fear, stress, envy, excitement, these are poor advisors. You can't build wealth on impulse. You build it on principle. I remember a man who lost half his savings because he jumped into an investment out of panic. The headlines scared him. Everyone was talking about a crash, so he sold low and ran. A few months later, the market rebounded, but his position didn't. Why? He moved too fast. He felt pressure, not clarity, and that's a costly trade. That's why I live by what I call the 72-hour rule. Before you buy something big, before you invest, borrow, or make any major financial move, pause. Give it 72 hours. Let the emotions settle. Then ask yourself the questions that matter. Does this align with my long-term vision? Is it driven by my plan or by my mood? That pause creates distance, and that distance gives you power. The wealthy don't chase excitement. They wait for clarity. They don't spend because they're stressed. They invest because they're strategic. And the truth is, if something can't wait 3 days, it probably isn't worth having in the first place. So learn to master your emotions, or they will master your money. Let your values and your vision be the compass, not your fear, not your impulses. Because real wealth is not just financial, it's emotional control, and that's a discipline that pays dividends for life. One of the greatest disciplines I ever learned was this: before I paid a single bill, before I spent a single dollar on comfort or entertainment, I paid myself first. Now, I don't mean treating yourself to something nice. I mean honoring your future self by making wealth building a fixed expense. See, most people wait until the end of the month and hope there's something left over to save. But hope is not a strategy, and leftovers rarely lead to abundance. When I was broke, my mentor asked me, "Do you save at least a dime out of every dollar you earn?" I said, "No." He smiled and replied, "Then that's where we begin." That moment shifted something in me. It taught me that financial change doesn't come from income alone. It comes from the decision to keep a portion for yourself no matter what. So I started small, just 10%, and I treated it like a tax non-negotiable. It didn't matter if I was earning a little or a lot. That portion went into what I called my wealth account money that would one day work for me instead of me always working for it. I learned to make it automatic. The best way to stick with it is to remove the need for discipline. Set it up once, so a portion of your income goes directly into investments, index funds, real estate, precious metals, whatever aligns with your plan. Make it invisible, make it sacred, don't touch it. Build the habit first, then increase the percentage as you grow. Because wealth isn't built by chance, it's built by choice. Not by how much you earn, but by what you keep, protect, and grow. So start today, pay yourself first. Make your future wealth a bill that always gets paid. One of the habits that completely changed my financial life was the simple act of tracking every dollar. See, most people walk around with a general idea of their money, how much they think they earn, how much they assume they spend, but assumptions aren't strategy. The wealthy don't guess, they measure. They inspect what they expect. Because if you don't know where your money goes, how can you ever expect it to grow? I remember a time when I was working hard, yet nothing was sticking. No savings, no progress. My mentor asked me to show him my records. I didn't have any. He said, "Then that's the problem. You're trying to run a business with no books." And that's exactly how most people treat their personal finances, like a mystery instead of a system. So I started writing things down. At first, it was just on paper. I'd list every dollar that came in and every dollar that went out. I categorized living expenses, learning, investing, unnecessary spending. And you know what happened? Clarity. Clarity brought awareness, and awareness brought change. I began to notice patterns, little leaks that added up to big losses, small wins I could build on, and from that clarity, I could adjust. Not emotionally, but strategically. Now, I recommend you build your own dashboard. Every week, same day, same time, sit down and review 4 numbers. How much came in, how much went out, how much you saved, and how much your net worth moved. Do this consistently, and your money starts to behave because you've placed yourself back in control. Remember, money respects attention. What you track, you master. And what you master, you multiply. So take the mystery out of your money and replace it with mastery. One of the most powerful principles I ever learned about wealth is this: it's not what you earn, it's what you keep. See, the illusion today is lifestyle. Flashy cars, designer clothes, eating out 5 nights a week, it gives the appearance of success, but not the substance. Many people earn a great deal and still live broke. Why? Because they spend for applause instead of investing for freedom. When I was just getting started, I fell into that trap too. I got a little raise and suddenly I thought I needed a better car, a fancier apartment. But the more I spent, the more I realized the raise didn't make me richer, it just raised my standard of spending. I was working hard but never getting ahead. That's when my mentor told me, always live off the bottom of your income. That simple phrase changed everything. So I adopted a new rule. Live on 70% of what you earn, not 100%. And certainly not 110% like most people do with credit cards and debt. The other 30%, that's where the real wealth is built. 10% into investments money that grows while you sleep. 10% into personal growth books, courses, mentors, because a better you earns better income. And the final 10%, give it, share it. When you give, you invite more back into your life and you reinforce the belief that you have more than enough. This takes discipline, but it pays you back with freedom. You'll sleep better, you'll worry less. You'll build a margin of safety that becomes a foundation for opportunity. So make this decision today. Don't chase applause. Buy assets. Live simply so you can invest deeply. Because living below your means doesn't limit your life, it multiplies your wealth. When I was young and broke, I kept asking myself, why do some people earn so much more while others, working just as hard, remain stuck? And then I realized it's not about working harder on the job. It's about working harder on yourself. That's the great secret. Your income is a direct reflection of the value you bring to the marketplace. If you want to earn more, the answer isn't to beg your boss, it's to increase your value. Now, I wasn't born with a list of high-income skills. I didn't know how to sell. I wasn't a great speaker. I certainly didn't understand wealth. But once I made the decision to grow me, things began to change. I carved out 30 minutes a day, just 30 minutes to study, to learn something new. Sales, leadership, mindset, investing, and every new skill added a layer of value. One day I could communicate better. Another day I could negotiate better. Eventually, I could lead better. And you know what happened? The marketplace started paying attention. Because money doesn't go to want. It flows to value. Think about it. When was the last time you invested real time mastering a skill that actually increases your worth? Not just watching content, but practicing, applying, building. You see, wealthy people don't chase money. They build themselves into someone money chases. That's the difference. So here's the challenge. Pick one high-value skill, maybe sales, maybe communication, maybe investing, and give it 30 minutes a day. Block it in your calendar like it's the most important meeting of your day, because it is. Over time, you'll notice something beautiful. You won't just grow in income, you'll grow in confidence, in clarity, and in control. Because when you become more, you attract more. When I was first getting started, I had one source of income in my job. And for a while, that seemed like enough, until one day I realized just how fragile that arrangement was. One company decision, one industry change, one economic downturn, and everything could be gone. That's when it struck me. Wages make a living, but profits make a fortune. And depending on only one stream of income is like standing on one legit. It's only a matter of time before you lose your balance. Now, the wealthy, they think differently. They don't rely on one stream. They build multiple. Some streams they actively work for, like a business. Others they build once and let money flow in like dividends, royalties, or rental income. And some are scalable, meaning they grow even when you're not trading hours for dollars like digital products or an online course. The key here is leverage. One income stream pays the bills. A second builds savings. A third buys freedom. When I learned this lesson, I didn't go out and build 10 businesses overnight. No, I started with one. A small seminar I could teach on the weekends. It didn't make much at first, but it was something. Then came product sales. Then came investments. Over time, these little streams began to flow together, and eventually they formed a river. You don't need to do everything today. You just need to start one stream in the next 90 days. Maybe it's freelancing in something you're good at. Maybe it's renting out a room. Maybe it's investing in something small but consistent. The goal is not perfection, it's progress. Because once you have more than one way for money to reach you, you move from survival to stability. And that's the beginning of real wealth. When I look back at my journey, one thing becomes crystal clear. Motivation alone won't carry you across the finish line. Motivation is a spark. It's exciting at first, but it flickers, it fades. What separates those who succeed from those who don't is discipline, and discipline comes from systems. The wealthy don't rely on willpower to remember every step. They build routines and automate their success so that good habits happen without having to think twice. Think about it if you had to consciously decide every day whether to save money, invest, or spend time learning something new. Chances are you'd slip, life gets busy, distractions come. But if you set up a system that automatically transfers a portion of your paycheck into savings or investments the moment it arrives, you remove the guesswork and emotion. The money moves quietly, steadily, working for you even when you're focused on other things. I remember when I first automated my savings. At first I thought, will I miss that money? But the truth was, I never missed what I never had. That money was working quietly behind the scenes, building momentum for my future. The same goes for learning. When I blocked off time on my calendar every day, no interruptions allowed, I was making a promise to myself. This wasn't about motivation, it was about commitment. You see, discipline bridges the gap between your goals and your accomplishments. Goals without discipline are just wishes. Systems remove the struggle. They make success inevitable because they put you on a path where your best habits become automatic. So, if you want to shift your financial life, don't wait for motivation. Build systems, automate your savings, schedule your learning, and guard your productive time fiercely. These simple actions repeated consistently will transform your future. Discipline is not just a habit, it's your bridge to the life you envision. The power of compound interest is one of those truths that can change everything once it truly sinks in. It's not about how much you start with. It's about how early and consistently you begin. Wealth doesn't multiply by trying to time the market perfectly. No, it grows through the patient act of staying in the game, letting time work in your favor. I remember when I first started investing. I didn't have a lot to put in, but I started anyway. It was about making the decision to plant that first seed, knowing that over the years it would grow quietly, steadily, even when I wasn't watching it every day. That first dollar saved became a foundation. And with every dollar added regularly, that foundation expanded, gaining strength and momentum. What many don't realize is that compound interest is like rolling a snowball down a hill. It starts small, but as it rolls, it gathers more snow, becoming larger and more powerful. Time is the hill, and consistency is the push. The longer you let that snowball roll, the greater your wealth becomes. Too often, people wait for the right time or think they need a large sum to start investing. But the truth is, starting small and starting now beats waiting for the perfect moment every time. Even modest, consistent investments in things like index funds, ETFs, or real estate can build significant wealth over decades. Remember, the magic of compound interest begins with that very first dollar saved and invested. The key is to keep feeding it regularly, to stay patient, and to let time multiply your efforts. That's how financial freedom grows, from the simple act of starting early and committing to consistency. Success isn't some grand event that happens overnight. It's the result of simple disciplines practiced consistently, day in and day out. Wealthy people don't wait around for inspiration to strike or motivation to hit them like lightning. They understand that success is a routine, a set of habits, a lifestyle built on daily rituals. The small choices they make every day compound over time into empires of financial freedom and personal fulfillment. I learned early on that motivation is fleeting, but discipline is steady. There were many mornings I didn't feel like getting up early or digging into my goals, but I did it anyway. The key is to create rituals that become non-negotiable so you don't have to rely on willpower alone. You build a system that carries you through even the toughest days. Start by setting a simple morning ritual, something that grounds you and reminds you why you're working so hard. Every morning, review your financial goals. Don't just have them written down somewhere you'll never see them. Bring them to life daily. See your 5-year income target, your savings goal, your investment milestones. Picture yourself achieving them. This morning review fuels your mindset and keeps your vision clear. Then carve out focused time during the day dedicated solely to income-generating work. Whether it's 90 minutes or however much you can commit, treat this time as sacred. During this window, eliminate distractions and put your energy into activities that directly move you closer to your financial goals. Maybe it's closing sales, writing proposals, building your business, or learning new skills. The wealthy don't waste this time, they guard it fiercely because it's the engine of their success. Finally, establish an evening ritual where you log every financial move, every expense, every saving, every investment. Reflection is key. Ask yourself, did I make decisions today that brought me closer to my wealth goals? This habit of tracking and reflecting builds financial awareness and control. It allows you to course correct quickly and celebrate progress. These 3 rituals, morning, midday, and evening, create a cycle of intention, action, and reflection that keeps you aligned and accountable. They become the foundation of your financial discipline, turning dreams into plans and plans into results. Remember, it's not about giant leaps, but small daily steps that compound into extraordinary success. Build your rituals, and you build your wealth. Discipline is the invisible force that separates those who build wealth from those who chase fleeting pleasures. I've seen it time and again, people willing to trade years of freedom for moments of instant gratification, only to find themselves trapped in cycles of debt and disappointment. The truth is, discipline weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons. Every time you choose to delay gratification, you're investing in a future where freedom and choice become your reality, rather than fleeting satisfaction that leaves you empty. When I was starting out, I often faced the temptation to spend on things that would impress others' new clothes, flashy gadgets, dining out, but those purchases didn't build anything lasting. What did build wealth was the hard choice to say no to the temporary and yes to the long term. That meant living modestly, saving consistently, and investing wisely even when it wasn't glamorous or exciting. It was a trade-off, but one that paid dividends in peace of mind and financial independence. Before you spend a single dollar, ask yourself a simple but powerful question. Does this move me closer to my wealth goals, or does it just make me feel good right now? This rewires your brain to value the future over the impulse of the moment. The rich understand that every dollar spent is a seed planted. Either it grows into a tree of wealth or it wilts away as regret. It's not about denying yourself pleasure or living without joy. It's about choosing which pleasures truly serve your future. Maybe it means skipping the luxury car today so you can own multiple assets tomorrow. Maybe it means saying no to that impulse buy so you can say yes to a vacation funded by your investments, not credit cards. This isn't just financial strategy, it's a mindset shift. When you delay gratification, you're training your brain to prioritize freedom and opportunity over temporary thrills. And that mental discipline becomes your greatest asset in the journey to lasting wealth. Remember, the choice is always yours. A small sacrifice today for a lifetime of freedom tomorrow. Wealth is not truly wealth until it lasts beyond your lifetime. I've met many who worked tirelessly, built fortunes, and yet when they were gone, all their hard work vanished like smoke. No plan, no structure, no legacy. True financial success is not just about what you accumulate, but what you leave behind. It's about creating systems that keep your wealth alive and growing, long after you're no longer here to tend it yourself. I learned early that leaving a legacy requires more than just money in the bank. It requires thoughtful planning, documentation, and the establishment of structures, trusts, wills, businesses, or family principles that can guide the next generation. Without these systems, wealth can slip through fingers as easily as water. Families can lose fortunes, values can be forgotten, and dreams left unfulfilled. But with the right legacy systems, what you build becomes a foundation for your children, your grandchildren, and even your community. Starting this process can feel overwhelming, but it begins with simple steps. Document your financial goals and strategies in a journal. Write down what you've learned, what you want to pass on, and how you want your wealth to be managed and grown. Draft a will that clearly lays out your wishes, not just about money, but about the values and lessons you want your family to carry forward. Think beyond money. Create systems of education, mentorship, or family meetings that keep financial wisdom alive. One man I knew was a modest farmer, not wealthy in the traditional sense, but he kept detailed records of his crops, expenses, and plans. When he passed, his children didn't just inherit land, they inherited a system of thinking and managing resources that helped them thrive. Legacy is about planting seeds of wisdom and structure that blossom for generations. Your legacy isn't just a gift, it's a responsibility. When you build systems to protect and multiply your wealth, you're not only securing your family's future, you're creating a ripple effect of opportunity, empowerment, and hope that lasts far beyond your years. It's the ultimate act of wealth, making your success eternal. As we come to the close of this conversation about building wealth and shaping your financial future, I want you to remember one simple truth. Success is not an accident, it is a habit. It is not something you stumble upon by chance, but something you create deliberately, day by day, decision by decision. The journey toward financial freedom is paved with consistent actions, disciplined habits, and a mindset that refuses to settle for less than what you deserve. You've heard today that thinking big, budgeting wisely, mastering your emotions, paying yourself first, living below your means, sharpening your skills, building multiple income streams, automating your success, and creating daily wealth rituals, these aren't just tips. They are a philosophy, a way of life. They are the principles that turn ordinary people into architects of their own destiny. And these principles are accessible to you right now, regardless of your age, background, or starting point. But knowledge alone will not change your life. Action is the bridge between where you are today and where you want to be tomorrow. So, I challenge you to take what you've learned and turn it into a simple, practical plan that you will commit to starting today. Write down your goals. Create your budget. Set up your savings and investment automations. Schedule time every day to develop your skills and work on your income streams. And most importantly, track your progress and adjust as you go. Remember, it's the small daily disciplines that compound over time. Just like planting a seed and nurturing it day after day, your efforts will grow into something powerful and enduring. Don't wait for the perfect moment, because it will never come. The best time to start was yesterday. The next best time is now. So take a moment right now, grab a notebook, a pen, your phone, whatever you need, and make a commitment to yourself. What is one small action you will take today to move closer to your financial freedom? It might be as simple as reviewing your expenses, opening a savings account, or reading a chapter of a financial book. Whatever it is, start there and keep going. You are the master of your financial future. You have the power to change your story. Wealth is not reserved for the lucky few. It is earned by those who think clearly, act consistently, and never give up. Be bold, be patient, be persistent, and watch as your life transforms. This is your moment. Own it, build it, live it, and I'll see you on the path to success.